The world seems more uncertain and volatile now than it has done for some time. The security and defence of our country is paramount, but also we need to make sure that's felt at home, that we have security, economic security at home as well. Because I don't think you can have international security if you haven't got security at home.
Did you see that? Did you? Oliver Twist! Jeffrey Dickens! Back to Victorian values! I hope you're satisfied, Thatcher!
How we doing, people? Happy Socialist Sunday. Just had to close the window there, bit of noise outside. Hope you're all doing well. Thanks for joining me. Another Sunday is upon us, another week has passed. So how you doing, people? This is the Sunday live stream. I'm your host Lefty. Thanks for joining me here on my left eye. I see the chat's filling up nicely already. Davinia was first in this evening, great to see you. Morbius, Baron von Kochschlapp, a very warm welcome to you as well. Chris, Doc Davies, we have a doctor in the house. Great to see you as well. Specs Bean Farmer and Floor Snake. Wonderful. How's your week been? How's your weekend been? I've been busy. Yeah, I had that members only video that I promised, of course, that came out yesterday. I've been putting that together. I was putting that together yesterday. So that's available for all members now. Do check it out. It's part one of my Just Stop All journey, talking a little bit about my involvement with the organisation, which, if I've timed it nicely, the final part should line up with the final shebang next month in April, in a few weeks. Thanks for your comments on that video. I can see a few of you in the chat who've commented on that. Always appreciated. Does help to boost the channel, as does hitting that like button, which I'm sure you're all going to do right now, people. Thank you very much. It was quite challenging actually putting that video together. This is a faceless channel. During my escapades, I'm hopefully going to be able to illustrate parts of my journey without revealing myself. And that's going to be a mini-series as well, so yeah. Definitely worth signing up for a membership. Morbius, thanks for hitting the like button twice. Whether that's over 2 profiles or not, I'm not sure, but if you hit it twice, generally you like it and then unlike it. But just double check it's unlike, but thanks a lot, Morbius, as always, for your support. Yeah, just the once will do, people. Edward Sexby's just joined us in the chat as well. Also great to see you. Yes, so once again, thanks for your comments on that recent content. More to come during next week. Extra live streams, extra content, hopefully coming your way. Like I said, I'm trying to expand the channel and increase the benefits of membership as well. Whilst I'm on that topic, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, there, thems and comrades alike, this is hot off the press, the latest members list. Thanks to everybody on the roster there. And quite a few of you have already watched that video. I think it's had about 20 views so far. Currently on some 70 odd members, so that's a good start. And it costs just 99 pence, people, to join this list of incredible supporters, and you get quite a lot of very good perks, if I do say so myself. Check those out. James Holmes, thank you very much for a gifted membership there. That's one of the best ways to support the channel as we expand the community, and also helps to sustain my left eye, keep us going here. Thanks again for that, James. Mike Boy, please do enjoy your perks. Solidarity there. And other people on this list have also gifted memberships recently. Do appreciate that also, as well as super thanks and super chats as well. Thanks for all those contributions. So let's touch base. Let's get you good people up in the chat there. Here we are. I'm sure you'll all be polite and cordial, as always. Just tidy up the screen there, we're good to go. We'll be diving in, crashing in, that is, to Keith's Fondue Party, which we always like to do on Sundays. A running feature on the channel. Talk about milking a bit, yes. No, it's become a tradition now, hasn't it, really? It wouldn't really be a Sunday without a visit, at least one visit, to Keith's Fondue Lounge. Also, I'd like to introduce the band, who you can hear in the background. Wink wink. It's Herbie Ranger and the Supersonics. Herbie on the trumpet there, playing at such a high pitch it is in fact inaudible. That's Herbie Ranger and the Supersonics. Politics Clive, lovely to see you. Happy Socialist Sunday, brother. Hope the levels are okay there. Keep me posted in the chat about the sound levels. Hope the background music's not too overbearing. Thanks for the feedback there, Specs. I'm glad it's coming through nicely. I've got a couple of new features on streams as well. Just debating whether to show you those before we go into Keith's Fondue Lounge or not. I think I'll wait till afterwards. We'll go and pay Keith a visit in a minute. I've prepared some contingency backup clips in case there are any technical difficulties or other things that sometimes happen on the live streams. Forever increasing the quality here, people. But I'll wait till after we've visited Keith in the lounge and I'll tell you what's coming up on the stream whilst we're at the party. Okay, let's go. Thanks, Herbie. That's it's okay for now. We'll be right back with Herbie and the Supersonics in just a moment. Here we are once again. Who's for a bit of fondue? Right. Shout out as always to the Agitator who provided Keith's Fondue Lounge. Wonderful scene. Wonderful content provider as well. That's Agitate for Change. Check him out. So what have we coming up on this stream tonight, people? Well, I'll tell you. Trump's tariffs continue. There's been obviously reactions to that, and it's going to lead to price hikes on goods in America. A little bit about that. The latest from Keith, who you saw at the start of the intro as well as Chancellor Rachel Reeves, who continue to try and defend their austerity policies and, to the contrary, try and convince people that they're actually good for the economy, as well as the, air quotes, ordinary working people that they like to harp on about. Trumped up charges. Yes, Chris. Certainly are. Prices are being trumped up. And charges as well. Speaking of charges and whatnot, also you might have heard about this recent raid at a Quakers meeting house. I'll be talking about that. Obviously, I'd like to keep you posted on what's happening in the world of protest, as well as the establishment's moves against protesters, people who take industrial action as well. More about that later on. That'll sort of tie in with the JSO stuff I've been talking about recently. So they get less convincing by the hour, let's put it that way, Keith and Reeves alike. And then quickly just back to that story about the raid. Yvette Cooper was on the news rounds trying to defend that on Trevor Phillips's show, so lots to come. Speaking of Reeves, I'll have a customary comedy clip to start things off amongst the other clips and articles and so on and so forth. Noreen Skinner's latest take on Rachel Reeves's spring statement, which was a big old sack of cack. Spoiler alert, people. I'm sure you're all more than aware of that by now. Martin Arnold, welcome to the chat. This song's too catchy, isn't it? We're here for hours. exactly sure how long the loop is. Can't remember. Put this together quite a while ago. But yeah. Boogie on down with Keith and pals. Unfortunately, Keith, you're going to have to inform Mandy and Hodge that we can't stay all evening. We've got more important things to attend to. We've got to put the world to rights and doomscroll. Pour quite a lot of critique on you in the process. Plenty of dunking on Keith to come. Is that the immigration mug on the table? I believe it is. Shall zoom it up. Let's try and do this live. Let's see if my left eye can see what's happening here. That's a good observation there, Specs. Controls on immigration. It most certainly is. Excellent, excellent observation there, Specs. I didn't see that, so I should have gone to Specs Bean Farmer. Anyone? Right, let's just resize this. Before we say goodbye to Keith. Well done again there, Specs. I'll just leave that about there. That'll do. Okay, bye-bye Keith. We'll be stopping by later. But have fun. Have fun there. Bed easy next time, but right. Move on, people. No, people. Oh, I said I was gonna give you a quick look at these backup clips that I've got. Sorry, like I said, I have been very busy. I've been putting stuff together for the channel over the weekend. Hope you like what I've got. Your feedback's always appreciated, seriously. Really do genuinely appreciate that. So I've got a couple of things to show you before we go on to the comedy clip. Now, which one? Okay. Yeah, I'll do that one first. Thank you, Herbie. Great. Nice. Right. So, contingency plans, people. Yes, I'll throw my hands up. Not every live stream goes as smoothly as I'd like to. I've been working my way through a series of technical problems recently. I seem to have ironed most or all of them out, knock wood. Especially the microphone issue. Got a new mic a couple of weeks ago. Turned out I had a dodgy USB port as well, so got a perfectly functioning one at the moment. However, just in case in future there are any technical difficulties, you will see.
As you can see, we're experiencing a minor technical difficulty here on my left eye. Our team of expertly trained technicians are working busily to restore the stream. In the meantime, Please make sure that you've hit the thumbs up button harder than you'd like to hit Keir Starmer in the ghoulies, and left a comment down below. Thank you.
Okay, so we've got that one, in case the mic's down or we have any other technical issues. So yeah, the team have been working hard and they're good to go. They're waiting to go in case there are any problems. Also, at risk of me going off on any tangents, specifically about climate change or other such things during streams, as I can have a tendency to do, which those of you saw that members only video will be familiar with. You're going to hear this warning. You're going to, because...
We apologise for the interruption of this broadcast while Lefty goes off on a tangent. He's been given a cup of tea and will be back with you shortly. In the meantime, make sure you've hit the thumbs up button and left a comment down below. Thank you for your patience.
Okay, so that looks like all bases are covered. So for every eventuality, as I said, working through these problems, increasing the quality of the live streams. Oh yes, not doing things by halves here on my left eye. Good point. Specs, failing to plan is planning to fail, after all. Clive, hope you're glad to see you're appreciating that. Baron von Kochschlap, yes, I'm certain that, well... yeah, if you leathered Starmer in the ghoulies, I'm sure he wouldn't forget that in a hurry. Let's just put it that way. I'm sure your reputation and your name precede you, sir. Who did I employ to do the voice? Well, it was pro bono. It was gratis. Yeah, I've got some dirt on the manager of the spa down the road, so I just did that and they did it for me. Yeah, pretty simple, really. No, that's that's not true. That's not true. It was a premiere, not a spa. No, I'm only joking. Nothing in that story was true. They wish to remain anonymous. The telly whacker whacker. Yes, Bex, I thought it does sound like a text-to-speech engine almost. That's, that's just the way that they speak, I guess. So we've got Noreen Skinner's latest clip now. Great impersonator. Speaking of voice imitation, that is. And I really do like the Rachel Reeves ones that she does. The Pet Peeves feature especially is one of my particular favourites. So do check out Noreen Skinner, who I've featured a bit before.
Hello, it's me, Rachel Reeves, the Chancellor, I think. Now, first of all, I do just want to point out that this is not an emergency budget. This is about the country and money in response to a panic. Now, like the Turkish barbers on your local high street, you can always rely on me for some brutally drastic cuts. Today I can confirm that Labour have changed this country. Did you know about the £22 billion black hole left by the party opposite? I can confirm that we have improved waiting lists, interest rates, promises made and promises kept. I will now read out percentages of how well we have done as a party. 10%, 20%, 1.9%, 160%, 95%, 76,000%. That just shows how well we have done, Mr. Speaker. I don't know what any of these percentages mean, but they sound good. Now we have to make tough choices because of the last 14 years, Liz Truss and the orange elephant in the room, who I can't mention. It's all about working people and supporting those most vulnerable. The welfare system has been letting people down, which is exactly what we plan to do as well. The good news is the OBR is saying that in many years that growth will get better. It's really bad at the moment, but things are looking really super positive in a prediction that has been made. So that's very good in a stable world. So why aren't you happy? Brackets, don't read the OBR's version of this report. This isn't a threat to the party opposite, but choose your side. Who do you want to be? Because the British people are watching, and they're watching you, not us. Finally, I believe in this country. I believe in this government. So believe me when I say to you, can you lend me a tenner? Goodbye.
Noreen Skinner there. Yeah, spot on, spot on. Just to reiterate, that was an impersonation, that wasn't the actual Rachel Reeves. Rachel Reeves. Marvellous, marvellous as always. Noreen Skinner comedy. But we're certainly not laughing at the subject of that imitation. The real Rachel Reeves. I think we may as well kick off with her contribution before we get on to Keith. So she's got a plan, as you can see there. Let's hear a defence of the spring statement. Attempted defence, that is. Check the settings and levels here. Should be okay, not would.
Our economic plan, what we are achieving and what more we need to do to grow our economy and lift living standards for working people. Because of our...
After this clip as well, I want to refer to an interesting notification that I got. I believe I commented on one of Labour or Rachel Reeves's videos recently, and yeah, got a bit of feedback about that, which is certainly going to be interesting. Just wanted to point that out. Specs Bean Farmer, thanks for joining. All the other members on the channel, a very warm welcome to you. Solidarity for that contribution. Thanks again. Okay, Reeves, get on with it.
Our record investment into the NHS. We've reduced waiting lists for the last 5 months. We're beginning to roll out free breakfast clubs at primary schools, and we've lifted the national living wage so that from next week 3 million people will get a pay rise. But today we've gone further. The world has changed, and we can see that all around us. That's why we've made the decision to put more money into defence, because it's essential for our national security and it's essential for our economic security. We've invested £2 billion in the affordable home.
Now, I'll just come in there to point out that usually very drastic increases in defence spending usually come when there is a specific foreign enemy, for example. And obviously this happens a lot when we're gearing up for war. But to be so nonchalant and dismissive about why they do that just really boils my piss. The world has changed. This phrase that we've heard over the last week or so just doesn't cut it. The world has changed. Yeah, yes, it's a lot less predictable now that Trump's in the White House. Granted, however, you don't just do it on a whim, which appears to be what they're trying to say. The real reason, people, as I mentioned a few times recently, is this very, very bad decision to move further towards basing the economy on the industrial war complex, which America has been institutionalized with for some decades now. You know, the American economy is mostly based on war, cars, and mass consumption of unnecessary goods. In as hastily a fashion as possible. And I'm referring to, you know, the likes of Amazon and people like that. Their sort of carbon input, as it were. You know, and speaking of the climate, I might as well point out now, you know, at the risk of going off on one, but
We apologise for the interruption of this broadcast while Lefty goes off on a tangent. He's been given a cup of tea and will be back with you shortly. In the meantime, make sure you hit the thumbs up button and left a comment down below. Thank you for your patience.
because if you think, you know, 2 degrees is bad, then wait till 10 years down the line. It'll seem like a picnic. Right, where was I? Yes, Rachel Reeves. Okay. So, we'll go through the rest of this clip shortly, but again, it's very scripted, it's very robotic, and it just doesn't cut the mustard. As our roving reporter Jeff would say, it is one big pile of shit. I won't do the clip.
Homes programme to build the social and affordable homes that our country desperately needs, and we've put in money, £600 million, to create 60,000 additional places for people to gain construction skills, because if we're going to build the homes that our country needs, we need young people with the skills to do those jobs, and so that's where the money is going, as well as ensuring that...
Oh, speaking of where the money's going, Rachel, where are those rents going? Are they going to be rents? Is this going to be social housing? Because that's where the real deficits are, in the letting area of the housing market. Severe lack of social housing, as we know. Will these 1.5 million homes that you're probably not going to build anyway, but I'll play along, I'll bite. But let's say we have 1.5 million homes. Are they just going to be there to increase the profits of the private sector, of private landlords, estate agents? This is what drives up house prices. But I won't use the word logic, the way of thinking for people like Rachel Reeves, who isn't an economist, far from it, but capitalists in general, driving up prices is good because it makes the market more valuable. It expands, it increases the market, and that's great, right? But no, we're talking about houses. We're talking about an absolute necessity for sustaining life, similar to things like access to clean water. These should be absolutely given rights by the state. You know, everybody should have access to these. Safe, clean housing, safe, clean water. There are other things, but it shouldn't be for profit. It should be based on necessity and need. Someone's hand's hovering over the tangent button, so we'll move on. More of the clip.
Run the state more efficiently, because I want to see public spending going into the front line. More doctors and nurses in our hospitals, more teachers in our schools, more police on our streets, more in the armed forces. The Conservatives crashed the economy, and it was working people who paid the price because of their economic mismanagement and chaos. Our plan is different. We've returned stability to the economy. The Bank of England has cut interest rates 3 times since the general election. And today we set out how, compared to the plans we inherited from the Conservatives, the average family will be better off by the end of this Parliament. That's more money for families to spend on the things.
This is an outright lie, by the way, just to be very clear.
That matter to them, more money in their pockets. That's the difference that this Labour government is making.
God. Yeah, really makes you want to jump out of your seat and run out and vote for Labour in the local elections, which I strongly suggest you do not. Please do back your socialist, grassroots party, independent or Green candidate. So I mentioned, I'm going to have to dig this one out, if you'll just bear with me. But I did make a comment on one of Reeves's posts recently. And do you know these bits that come underneath clips now on Twitter? The sort of, how do you call it? The debunking notification bits. There is another word that I'm looking for, but it's not coming to me right now. I got one of those anyway. And it turns out that the actual fact of the matter seems to be the exact opposite of what Rachel Reeves was saying. Shock, surprise, get the smelling salts. So just go into my notifications. I think it was there where I found out about it. Herbie, why don't you guys fill in just for a brief moment while I'm... Thank you. A community note, that's the word I was looking for, that's the phrase, 2 words I should say, that I was looking for. Well. Let's take a look here, Pew. Would you look at this? So it was from that speech. You can see she's wearing the same outfit. Not sure if it was the exact same clip. But contrary to the claims made in that video, it has now emerged that families will be up to £500 a year worse off. £500. And it refers to a few articles there, so you'll see that if you go to Rachel Reeves's Twitter. I dare you to follow her. No, don't. Hell no. Moth, nice to see you, and Nina Sadie. Yes, community notes, that was the phrase that was eluding me there. My pal Foot. Solidarity to you as well. So she appears to have been caught in a lie there, people. Heaven, defend. Keith's turn now. So a little bit from his speech right at the top of the live stream. Rick certainly wasn't impressed with that one. Well, very quickly, while I'm on the topic of those the sort of Rick Mail clips that I use at the start of streams and in videos now and then, I've been thinking about making all of those available on the channel, perhaps as another perk for members. Let me know how you'd feel about having access to that. So whoever it is, whichever character that's getting your goat that particular day, you can always take a look, and maybe that'll make you feel better about it. So there's been quite a few, he's gone through quite a few television sets, has Rick, Starmer, Reeves, lots on Trump and Musk and JD Vance as well. Sarah Davies, thanks for joining us as well. So it was very typical photo op or video op appearance in this case for Starmer. Stood with rows of workers behind him who were probably there under duress, I dare say. You know, we can't confirm or deny reports about people being under duress. And goodness me, people, I forgot to update the members goal after Specs joined. I was that elated. Thanks again for that. So we're on 78 out of 100 now, just 22 away from the target. Let's see how we do with that. Yeah, so as long as you're surrounded by actual working people who graft for a living, usually for a lot less than they should be entitled to, then Starmer thinks, you know, you'll be okay. Generally, ditch the jacket or tie, sleeves rolled up, that sort of thing. It's all about the optics. Was the sound a bit weird though with the background music? Sorry about that. Sometimes it's the soundtrack doubles up. It comes out of basically the channel that's supposed to play the audio from the clips. So if I leave that on, sorry about that if it sounded a bit odd. Nina Sadie, thanks for signing up as a member as well. Awesome. Let's instantly adjust the target. Thanks again. Hope you enjoy the perks there. Hit the button. Yeah, you get exclusive content. Exclusive. What's the word I'm looking for? Early viewings on videos and other content as well. So please do check that out. You get static emojis as well, which you can use in these live streams. And you can see that most recent video about my journey in JSO, starting in part 1 and part 2 to come next week, which will be about that massive action phase. My goodness. But that's another story. Again, there are hands hovering over the tangent button. Let's get on to Keith. The tangent button also acts as a deterrent. Okay, Keith's turn to open the lie to the public in such a barefaced fashion. Let's see what he's got. Just nip back over to the clips.
The world seems more uncertain and volatile now than it has done for some time. I think people can feel it, particularly in the last few weeks and months. Some of the old certainties that we thought were there as a country don't appear to be there in the way that we thought. Now,
Keith's audition for the opening lines of Lord of the Rings didn't go as well as expected, did the people? The world is changing. But, you know, we've been feeling this for quite... Mithrill's in the chat as well. I know that you're certainly up on your Tolkien. Obviously there's a slight hint there in the name, but great to see you. As always, it didn't go very well. These people don't look very convinced either. When I was looking at this clip, while I was uploading it to the broadcast software before. So, going from right to left, I immediately noticed the lady in the white top to the right of Keith, just as we look at her, absolutely stirring, you know, the death stare in the back of his head. The, you know, I ain't fucking buying that. And I certainly share those sentiments. I bet a lot of these people, basically, wherever this is, this clear publicity shot, I really feel sorry for these people being forced to stand behind Keith. But she certainly doesn't look like she wants to be there. The gentleman in the grey jackets, just to the left of Keith, as we can see. The only thing that springs to my mind is he looks as though he's attending a funeral. The similar face, or perhaps he just lost his pet hamster. That's the kind of expression that's on his face. He certainly doesn't seem reassured by Starmer's mutterings. And the lady to his left looks pretty stultified as well. What does this mean? What does... Okay, we're mobilising for war because the world is changing. And it's not like back in the day, and unfortunately, you know, a lot of this has passed from living memory to hear from the people who were there. But let's say in 1914, we knew that everybody was mobilising against Germany, as happened again in the late 1930s. But this, just based on a desire to turn our economy into one that's reliant on war, where peace isn't good for business, just because, and you can point the finger at Putin as much as they try to. I'm not defending Putin in saying that. I do want this war to end around a table. I'm not of the belief, as many deluded people are, that there can be some sort of ultimate victory, as it were, for one side or the other. That's only going to escalate things further as well. So yeah, they don't look impressed.
You know, my job, our job, is to ensure that internationally we pull people together to stabilise and to make sure the security and defence of our country is paramount. But also, we need to make sure that's felt at home, that we have security, economic security at home as well. Because I don't think you can have international security if you haven't got security at home.
What in the bloody hell are you talking about, man? What are you talking about? And again, it's pointing at the invisible enemy that isn't there and stirring up volatility, stirring up negativity. We saw this before we, you know, illegally invaded Iraq, and there was a lot of Islamophobia that went with that, and it was absolutely appalling at the time. But we don't have economic stability, Keith, as I just pointed out with that community note. In fact, quite the opposite, because all you're doing is continuing with neoliberalism, continuing with Tory austerity policies, and dare I say, Thatcherism.
In your family, in your community, in your work.
Well, that was that. And that clip was from ITV News there. Herbie, please bring back in the jazz. I do certainly need some soothing tones after having to look at that brief clip. You wouldn't think that he had an election to fight in just a few weeks' time, would you? Really? When you look at what they're saying, the tone of everything on camera. And again, ultimately they can't have it both ways. They can try and convince us until they're blue in the face that things are going well. But if things are going well, Keith, if things are going well, Rachel Reeves, then why are you making the so-called tough choices? And if they want to try and convince you that the, again, so-called tough choices to punch downwards as opposed to taxing the rich, as we all know that they should do, if they think that that's actually been positively effective, then they're even more deluded than I thought. So no, there are no successes to gloat about, because if there were, then they wouldn't have to bring up that phrase tough choices so often, would they? You can't have your cake and eat it, Keith. A new phase of class war. Yeah, that's one way of looking at it, Edward, and it certainly is in a lot of ways. It's the haves and the have-nots. We look at how much the wealth gap is still expanding. The super wealthy continue to make hand over fist. Of course, they have the means of production which should be owned by the people, and they should indeed gain far more equally from the profits of those industries. Profits are unpaid wages is one phrase that comes to mind. And the top 4 wealthiest people in this country, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, they, thems and comrades alike, the top wealthiest 4 people in this country, are you sitting down? I hope you're sitting down. They have more money than the bottom 20 million people. 20 million people, that's about a third of the population of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. Just 4 people balanced against 20 million. And some people think the actual solution is going to be to increase taxes on the working class as opposed to the super wealthy. I couldn't believe my ears when I heard that suggestion. I can't remember the TV show it was from. It might have been Good Morning Britain or Jeremy Vine. I can't recall. But yeah, they were trying to throw some sums out there, some calculations out there that they'd done. And they'd figured out that if you increased tax from 20% to 30% at the bottom rate, it could raise so many billions. But look at the billions and billions that are sat in the Cayman Islands, in the Virgin Islands, the Seychelles, in Switzerland. Look at all these shell companies that are being set up as tax dodges. Look at how the super wealthy Jeremy Clarkson, or multimillionaires even, Jeremy Clarkson, excuse, bit of a dry throat there, people. Apologies for that. But look at how they avoid tax by investing in things such as farms or fine arts and things like this. Do you really think that people get on the phone to Sotheby's and bid so much for whatever latest, Damien Hirst has put out there, or whomever, because they want to hang it on the back of the door in the downstairs lavatory? Or do they do that because it's exempt from tax? Sure, we know the answer, but no. That's not a solution. Taxing the rich is not a solution that Starmer wants to address. They might all run off, you see. The tax dodgers might run away. And if they're not paying any tax anyway, because they make so-called claims about wealth creation and job creation and this sort of thing, the wealth creation comes from the people who work on the warehouse floor, who drive the trucks, who load the pallets, who even clean the staff room and the toilets. That's what keeps the business going. That's the wealth creation. Sorry about the chat freezing a little bit there. Feudalism, yes, Mithril, feudalism, and it's been going on for so long, as you rightly point out. And Good Morning Britain was a great song by Aztec Camera. Thanks for reminding us about that. Great to see you as always, Mithril. What did you think about Starmer's failed audition for the opening lines of Lord of the Rings? Should we just quickly hear that again, so you know what I'm referring to a bit more perhaps the second time round, for those of you who are familiar with the Peter Jackson films. So it starts with narration by Kate Blanchett, who plays Galadriel, and they probably correctly chose her over Keith, although it was like, when did they come out? Like 25 years ago.
The world seems more uncertain and volatile now than it has done for some time.
Do you think I'd get away with splicing that over the top of the intro for Would Wing Not get on to me about that? I'm not sure. I might see if I can get away with it.
The world seems more uncertain and volatile now than it has done for some time. I think people can feel it, particularly in the last few weeks. The old certain.
Yeah. Might have a dabble with that one. Thanks, Herbie. Yep. Let's hear that one again, fellas. No, he didn't talk about releasing the sausages. There's already been a bit of a Mandela effect on that one, actually. If you want to get technical there, it was actually the return of the sausages, I believe, was the actual quote. The return of the sausages. Yeah, that word is probably banned from the hostages. Is probably banned from all of his scripts from now on. Starmer can't process that data, so they've had to sort of reroute and talk about alternative things. Oh yes, no critique there at all, my pal Foot. I was just being a bit nerdy there on that technicality about the actual quote. The same way that in Star Trek, you know, Kirk never said, "Beam me up, Scotty," that sort of thing. The Mandela effect. Yeah, we're going to British summertime tonight as well. Time travelling exploits. Right, I'm going to see what I've got queued up next. Oh, one other thing I forgot to mention at the top of the show that I'll be going on to pretty soon. There could be a bit of positive news. Potentially a new ceasefire deal between Gaza and Israel could be on the table. Again, you always have to take those with a pinch of salt, don't you? It's almost as though one side in the negotiations always wants to completely ruin them right at the last moment. And even if they are agreed upon, just violate them anyway. Israel. Bit of a dry throat there again, people. Sorry about that. Is it still light down there in Plymouth? It's just hearing out here. Very dark here now. The clocks don't go forward till later on though, do they? If not, then or was it last night? I didn't realise anyway. Although that might explain why I had such a good lie in. Thanks for throwing up the Palestine static emojis in the chat. Yeah, on to matters in the Middle East later. Slightly tedious link though to that on the next story I'm going to talk about, which I'm also going to use as an excuse to plug that members only video. So a lot of you regular viewers will know that I've been involved with environmental and political activism for a while, and I've taken action multiple times with Just Stop Oil. Also a subsidiary group, if you'd like to put it that way, of Just Stop Oil. Youth Demand have been in the news over the last few days, and a lot's been said recently, obviously, about legislation against protest, also the length of sentences given to convicted protesters, and also the way the police, under government instruction of course, are conducting these raids on people's houses simply for having Zoom calls, and in this case a meeting in a Quakers meeting house. Now those of you on the left who've been involved with organisations, I'm sure that you'll know that Quakers meeting houses are particularly accommodating places, and a lot of socialist groups and environmental groups conduct the meetings with the public there and give talks, etc. I've been to a great many at Quakers Meeting House in Manchester and other Quakers Meeting Houses myself in my time as an activist, even going way back to when I was studying politics in college, in sixth form, and then later in community college as well. So 20 police officers arrested 6 supporters of Youth Demand. Quite unbelievable. It's getting worse and worse. It's very draconian now. You do have to say, don't you? Doc Davies, your mum was a Quaker. Yeah, as I said, always very welcoming, and it's very interesting. You obviously, most recently I've been going to Quakers meeting houses for Just Stop Oil stuff. But you could go in and you can overhear ballet lessons, or there might, you know, in a hall, or there could be talks on whatever, and the Quakers are very welcoming to sort of all areas of society and all other religions as well. Yeah. Another good example there, Super, great to see you in the chat as well. Bristol Greenpeace, when you used to go down with them. So yeah. The text on the article is a bit small there. I'll try, just going to try zooming in so I can read a little, but I'll just do a brief synopsis there myself instead. That's the long and short of it. None of the people who were arrested were actually charged with anything. It's just intimidation. So I've also myself been arrested with youth demand. In fact, that was my most recent arrest, was with youth demand. That's a spoiler alert for people following the the new members only series. And yes, at the moment they are calling for a ceasefire in Palestine. They're calling for the British government to stop sending Israel any kind of military assistance or finance to assist their illegal occupation. Let's see what Yvette Cooper, Home Secretary, had to say to defend this. Well, again, another spoiler alert, people. Not a great deal. Totally tried to deflect in this interview with Trevor Phillips. Ignored the matter in hand. Tried to treat it as an opportunity for a brief party political broadcast, and then hope that you can move on and all will be forgotten. But we've certainly not forgotten Yvette.
Cooper, does it concern that you're presiding over a country where 20 police officers armed with lasers break down the door of a Quaker meeting house to arrest 6...
I think he meant to say tasers there, not lasers. They weren't armed with blasters or lightsabers. Yeah, tasers. It was actually tasers, just for clarification.
Women eating breadsticks and hummus, none of whom, by the way, 3 days later is charged with a single offence.
Morning, Trevor. Good to see you this morning. So, as you know, we have operational independence for the police in this country. I've made clear to policing that the priorities, the government's priorities, are around serious violence.
Just right there. Right there. Can she even hear the words that are coming out of her own mouth? I'll play that again. So first of all, oh no, we don't tell the police what to do. They've just gone and done that of their own accord, Trevor. And we tell the police to do this instead, and that is why they're focusing on other things instead, because we told them to. But we don't tell them to do things. We tell them to do other things. What?
Eating breadsticks and hummus, none of whom, by the way, 3 days later is charged with a single offence.
Morning, Trevor. Good to see you this morning. So, as you know, we have operational independence for the police.
They have operational independence. They're independent from one another, so she can't possibly instruct the police to concentrate on one area or another, can you, Yvette?
In this country, I've made clear to policing that the priorities, the government's priorities, are around serious violence. We have them set a mission to halve serious violence.
Well, you can't, Yvette, you can't, because you have operational independence.
Over the next 10 years, and also dealing with those neighbourhood crimes.
You can't, because you have operational independence.
The local crimes, particularly in town centres, that have the greatest impact on communities.
Say it with me, people. Oh, no, you can't, Yvette. You have operational independence. It's going to be fucking pantomime right here.
The police do have operational independence. They have to take decisions, and there will be decisions that they take that do need to have greater scrutiny. But those are matters for chief constables, or in the case of London, for the Met Commissioner, rather than for the Home Secretary.
But this comes...
No, we have a long tradition, not just of free speech, but of freedom of assembly, of a whole series of...
What a load of absolute crap, Yvette. You deliberately targeted youth demand. You at least tried to intimidate them, but you're going after them simply for exercising the right to free assembly. There are people in prison right now. Lou is one of them who is in prison just for hosting Zoom talks. Roger Hallam, one of the co-founders of Just Stop Oil, as well as Extinction Rebellion and the Humanity Project, also in prison for doing a talk on the social efficacy of protest on a Zoom talk. The right to free speech and the right to free assembly. Pull the other one. It's draconian, it's Orwellian, so many phrases. Mithril, very correct there. Operational independence is also known as plausible deniability. But it's far from plausible. It's far from legitimate. I'm not buying it. I don't think Trevor Phillips is buying this either, but I don't think he's going to come down too heavy on Yvette Cooper, unfortunately. We're talking about very fundamental rights, right to protest, right to free assembly, right to free speech, being stripped away. And I'm not talking about it from the fucking reform perspective or the right-wing perspective, where they essentially just want outdated comedians to be able to do misogynistic mother-in-law jokes and jokes about brown and black people. I'm talking about actual free speech and the actual right to assembly, not the right to stir misogynistic or xenophobic hate.
Different freedoms that are really important
That's
in the
point.
UK.
It's a great long tradition, but it seems to be
we also have an
threat.
important tradition of independence for the police, and the police need to operate without fear or favour. I think that other case that you referred to, the Hertfordshire Police and Crime Commissioner and the Chief Constable, as I understand it, have also instigated a review into that case. I think the Police and Crime Commissioner has said...
Now, look, the order came from somewhere up above. And I was going to get into this later on in the series of members-only videos, but I'll just very quickly say this for you now. It's not nice to have to live knowing that one day there could be a knocking on your door, a bashing on your door, or a bashing down of the door, or a meeting. Even at social gatherings that we put together in Just Stop Oil. It's not nice to know that that can happen at any moment. And it's happened to a lot of my friends, a lot of people who I hold dear, a lot of people who I've been through a lot with. And it's got to stop. It's got to stop. And yeah, JSO have recently announced that they're going to be stopping non-violent direct action because, well, we've got various reasons for doing that, which I won't go into now, but they're going to use these laws against other organisations as well. Obviously, Youth Demand are a subsidiary, as I said. And this will go into, and already is happening with other groups, Palestine Action, for example, being one of them. Those who have taken action at the Elbit factories. And on and on and on. It's going to go. I'll just finish by saying that it's certainly not going to deter the commitment of the people who are involved. It's not going to stop them fighting for the cause if that's what they think is going to happen.
The view is that this was a breakdown of the relationship between the school and parents, which in his view should they need to look at other ways to deal with that rather than involving the police. But that's the Police and Crime Commissioner's engagement, and it's right that in individual forces, police and crime commissioners have oversight of their forces. But as you know, if you had the Home Secretary trying to direct the police in different ways, that really would cut across some of our really important freedoms in this country.
Don't act or pretend that that doesn't happen, Yvette Cooper. Otherwise, you know, what is one of the points of having a Home Secretary in the first place? The buck stops with someone, and where the police are concerned in this country, that's generally with the Home Secretary. You see, the idea is that the government have control over the police, and technically the royal family have control over the army in this country. Apparently, you know, that's the way it's supposed to be anyway, but don't act as though the Home Office can't get the police to act however they want. I could go on at length about this. For one thing,
We apologise for the interruption of this broadcast while Lefty goes off on a tangent. He's been given a cup of tea and will be back with you shortly. In the meantime, make sure you've hit the thumbs up button and left a comment down below. Thank you for your patience.
and it's an absolute affront to justice, but that's all I'll say about that. I'll leave that there and we'll verily move on. People, let me know your thoughts about that particular topic in the chat or in the comments if you're watching back on a replay. Take it away, Herbie. Welcome to... Right, I'm going to get this in one go, people. Here we go. Big breath. Astute Hiking Bear President. Thank you. Very warm welcome to you. Thanks for jumping in the chat. Before I move on, people, please make sure that you've hit thumbs up on the stream. If you have access to the comments, I know some of you watching on your phones and other devices don't always have access to the comments. Even if you are watching live, please do add something in the comments down below. Helps to spread the good word, people, this Socialist Sunday. You're welcome, Astute Viking Bear President. I won't ask where that's derived from. Now then, let's get on to Middle East matters. Can also do a slight segue. Again, a slightly tedious link, but talking about protest in general. Hedy, welcome to the chat. Happy Socialist Sunday. Always a pleasure to see you. So I know that a lot of you viewers are familiar with Declassified UK. Great journalism, independent journalism from them, and they often bring up the topic of the occupation of Palestine. And this week they've been chasing down Jonathan Reynolds and putting some pressing questions to him down on the ground there in Whitehall. So we're going to have a look at that and then go on to this talk of a new ceasefire potentially. Potentially being the operative word there. So this is Declassified UK. Check them out, people.
Minister Reynolds, why are you still allowing arms exports to Israel? Our British fighter jet parts being used to kill children in Gaza, sir. Do you have blood on your hands, Minister Reynolds? Why can't you stop these arms exports? Are the US not letting you? Do you have blood on your hands, sir? So I'm outside Chatham House where Jonathan Reynolds, the Business and Trade Secretary, has just gone in for a speech at a global trade event. We asked him why Britain is still allowing arms exports to Israel. Although there's supposedly an embargo, we know that fighter jet parts for Israel's most deadly fighter jets are still being allowed to leave British factories. They go off to the US, where they're then onwards exported to Israel.
I mean, on your question on the trade strategy.
In genocide, this government is still exporting F-35 parts for Israel. Stop arming Israel!
Yeah, myself and one other activist got up, took out Palestine flags, got up on the stage in front of Jonathan Reynolds and told him he was complicit in genocide because he's the one who licenses arms exports, including parts for F-35 fighter jets, which just last week Israel used to massacre 400 people.
For this invite, for this lovely...
This man and his government are complicit in genocide. Excuse me, sir. The F-35s are massacring Palestinians, and they have not stopped the trade of F-35s. 400 Palestinians killed last Tuesday, 200 children. One of the largest massacres of Palestinian children in history.
I mean, it was very physical. They weren't happy that we were there. The thing is, we will continue to show up wherever they go. And the most important message is to center the people of Gaza. And the risks that we take are nothing compared to the dangers that they face every single day. And it's our moral duty to make these forms of complicity visible, whether that involves a small risk to ourselves or not.
Shout out to Declassified UK there, and also great to see those direct non-violent actions against Jonathan Reynolds as well. We're seeing protests at speeches and such happening far more frequently these days. There's certainly a lot of discourse in the public against what's happening, and that's filtering up to direct action as well, so well done to them for speaking the truth to power. So what about this potential ceasefire? There's been a deal that's been put on the table. So at the moment that's been sent over to Israel. Well, here's the thing. We've seen countless times how they'll add ridiculous caveats and whatnot to try and railroad the negotiations. Even Israeli citizens are becoming aware of this now, and even they're getting pissed off. They know that Netanyahu doesn't give two shits about the hostages, for example. So they'll do as they always do, they'll come back and say that it has to include the complete eradication of Hamas, who are a political party with a military wing, by the way. They are proscribed as a terrorist organisation in the UK and in the United States. However, you could argue that the Labour Party are a political party with a military wing, you know, that they want to mobilise and escalate spending on defence. But that's another matter. Let's see what's happening here. I'll just have a quick skim through this. It's very early days, the very early stages of this, but the proposition is to see 5 more hostages released for Israel to basically start a 50-day truce. The most senior Hamas leader outside Gaza said the group had approved a draft which was put together by the Egyptian and Qatari mediators. Netanyahu's office say they've received the plan and submitted a counter-proposal, as they call it. That's the stuff I was just on about there, to the mediators in full coordination with the United States. So then they'll put a load of ridiculous demands in, send that back over to Hamas, who will say, of course, no, this is ridiculous. And then Netanyahu will turn around and say, oh look, Hamas have ruined the ceasefire proposals. As though that's not an obvious and despicable tactic. And then generally, you hear that parroted by the likes of David Mensa and Tzippi Hotovely and other equally repulsive Israeli spokespeople. So that's, you know, that's my strongest prediction for what would happen. You'll have to forgive my pessimism, but that's just simply based on what's happened historically. So this comes as Israeli forces launch another, see the BBC are doing it again, a ground operation in Rafah. It's a violation of the ceasefire agreements and an illegal occupation. Did that not get through to the BBC editors, the political editors? No? Okay. So they launched another illegal attack, I'll say it the right way, in Rafah, and continued airstrikes across the Gaza Strip after a ceasefire which had come into force. Oh, so they do know about the ceasefire. The BBC do know about the ceasefire, right. That came into effect on the 19th of January and ended earlier this month. Both sides had been unable to agree a second phase of the deal after the first ended. I've spoken many times as well about Netanyahu's modus operandi, his reason for wanting to delay the second phase, of course. That would be a political disaster for him. So instead, as the article says, they've proposed, as well as the United States, that the first phase of the ceasefire, which expired a month ago, should be extended with no clear guarantee that the war would end. It's not a war, again. That's when two armies are fighting. This is an occupation and a collective punishment. More than 900 people across the territory have been killed by airstrikes since then. Staggering. Staggering. 900. So many of those are children as well. Meanwhile, the relatives of the remaining hostages have accused Netanyahu of putting hostages' lives in danger by breaking the ceasefire. So there you have it, like I said. He's lost the support of even Israeli citizens who want to see the back of him. They're becoming increasingly aware that many of the hostages have been killed in Israeli airstrikes. They've been killed by lack of access to clean water or food or any water whatsoever, for that matter. This last bit, obviously, it's just the usual BBC pro-Israel bit. The war was triggered when Hamas attacked southern Israel on the 7th of October 2023. Did it really? Yeah, it certainly wasn't triggered by the Balfour Declaration, was it? It certainly wasn't triggered by the Nakba, was it? It certainly wasn't triggered by the preceding years to 2023 being some of the most brutal for Palestinians, and it certainly isn't resistance pushing back against an illegal occupation, which is to be expected, whoever the occupier may or may not be. So in their response, which has been completely immoral and unjustified, of course, officially Israel have killed more than 50,000 Palestinians. I'd say it's at least double that, people, unfortunately. Alas, so many bodies that were in buildings that collapsed and were crushed under the rubble are still unaccounted for. So yeah, Davinia, they're still going along with that. Israel has the right to defend itself. How many times do I have to say? You can defend yourself if it's your own country, but you're not defending yourself if you're occupying that country. And that is in international law, by the way. And it also says in international law that you can defend yourself against an illegal occupation by any means. Mithril, thank you very much for throwing up the Palestine emojis in the chat. Solidarity, as always. Free Palestine. It's a nonsense. It's a nonsense. And in years to come, people will find ourselves having to explain to future generations about how people saw it that way, about how it was, how all of this rhetoric, all of this propaganda was allowed to be spilled over the airwaves, the radio waves, online, on social media. Obviously, we fight the good fight and try and stop this, prevent this from happening. But when they look back, a lot of this will of course be inexcusable, as it is here in the present. Hev, great to see you in the chat. Thanks for throwing up the Palestine flags as well. Jean, closer to 200,000, you think, mostly women and children. Of course, that's one of the greatest tragedies of this occupation as well. Also, record numbers of journalists being targeted, children being deliberately targeted as well. And they know this. We've heard testimony from doctors, from surgeons in operating rooms who say that the increasing number of headshot wounds coming in, headshot wounds on children, is exponential, just way above average even for any war, for any occupation. And that's no coincidence, you know. We don't have to get Columbo in on that one to know that children are being deliberately targeted, because we know that these fascistic, far-right, Zionist, deluded monsters actually don't see Palestinians as being human beings, and which is very sickening. Okay, people, the risk of having to set off another tangent warning. A very strong topic as always. I know that a lot of us feel strongly about this. I'll leave that there for now. Let me know what you think about the chances of that ceasefire coming through as well. Always like getting your feedback. on streams and on content as well. Jump into the comments if you're watching back on a replay. Super thanks are also open if you're watching back on a replay, if you're catching up, as I know a few of you like to do. Can't always catch us live all the time. Nothing wrong with that. But just let us know what you think nonetheless. And make sure you smash the thumbs up button while you're at it, people. A quick plug for social media while I'm on the subject. Please do share us around there. We're available, and we'd love to follow all genuine socialists back. If you want to give us a follow at MyLeftEye UK, that's on Blue Sky, Mastodon and Twitter at the moment. Always Twitter, never X. Yeah, Flow Snake, good point there. The international law is very open and plain for all to see. There's no debating it, there's no need for balance, and this is one of the things that pisses me off with mainstream media. We know the usual culprits are, of course. They try and add a counter argument for balance. That really shouldn't be a thing, especially where something is so clear cut. For example, you wouldn't have a mathematician on, okay, who'd tell you that 2 + 2 = 4, and then you'll have some completely innumerate wacko on trying to tell you that it doesn't. The same way that this isn't debatable whatsoever. It's clear who's breaking the law and who isn't in this situation. And climate change as well. When you have these debates against climate change, we don't need to hear from people who think that it's just a natural cycle or that it's caused by solar flares and this sort of thing. And they definitely shouldn't give the aforementioned David Mensa and Tsitsipas Hotovely the time of day either, while we're on the subject. God, the chat screen's frozen. We've got a slight technical difficulty here, people.
As you can see, we're experiencing a minor technical difficulty here on MyLeftEye. Our team of expertly trained technicians are working busily to restore the stream. In the meantime, please make sure that you've hit the thumbs up button harder than you'd like to hit Keir Starmer in the Ghoulies, and left a comment down below. Thank you.
Okay, so the team were very quick at it there, and normal service appears to have been resumed. Sorry for the delay there, everybody. Thanks for sticking with me here on the Sunday live stream here on MyLeftEye. Happy Socialist Sunday. I'll be bringing things to a close in just a short while, people, but before I do, of course, as always, I'd like to give another customary thank you to all of the members on the channel. Excuse me for removing the chat while I do so. In fact, I have to put it back on a second. I'm on the wrong tab there, and I don't have the membership goal up. But I do now. Okay. Quality streaming. We know what we're doing here, people. Thanks again, every single one of you on the members list. Do please consider joining this list. It's just 99p and lots of perks for you to enjoy. That's just a fraction of the price of a tasty hot beverage. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, dear thems and comrades alike. It's been a pleasure to update this list lately, thanks to those of you gifted memberships as well. Just 21 away from the membership goal of 100. And it'd be lovely for us all to be Brew Crew Centurions, as it were. Flowsnake, can someone without cojones have ghoulies? It seems a bit like Schrodinger's testicles. Well, they can use whatever pronouns they like, it doesn't do me any harm, does it? Really, you'd have to get really onto a biologist about that one. I'd have to say that's somewhat outside of my technical expertise as far as biology goes, and I'm certainly not going to stick my neck out and try and make any definitive classification. Hev, wonderful contribution there, 10 gifted memberships, thank you very much for that, Hev. Solidarity there. Hope you all enjoy the perks, everybody who's picked up a gifted membership. So that brings us up to 89, wonderful stuff. I'll adjust the total now just before I bring you good people back up in the chat. And there we are. Thank you very much again for that, Hev. That's a great way to close out the stream. Do stick around though, people. Could be raiding into another channel. And that just reminded me as well, Divinia, I can't remember which stream it was on, that was fantastic recently, when you won the the gifted membership lottery, as it were. A bullseye from Andy Carter, wasn't it? Yeah, great shot, great shot. Regular viewers will know what I'm referring to there. And thanks to those of you in the chat showing that appreciation as well for the gifted memberships. Always great to see. We do have the Vanguard who are live, so over to the States, over to the US. They were embroiled in that, and obviously I don't have a horse in this race, as I said at the time. Just speaking observationally, they were embroiled in a slight feud, slight disagreement, weren't they, with the Cavernacle recently as well. Sorry, I don't know why I brought that up. Mithril, take care. Yeah, hopefully my left I'll be seeing you soon. Flowsnake, you're very welcome as always. Hope you'll be joining me throughout the week for Brews at 10, of course. One final reminder, please do check out the members only video that came out today as well, if you'd like to know more about my journey in Just Stop Oil. There's part 1 there for you to enjoy, lots more stories and tales to come. Yeah, the next one's going to be pretty bumper, people. Mostly use pictures in the in part 1, but yeah, it's going to be quite a task, so looking forward to getting stuck into that one. Alright, I think that's all of the plugs, all of the self-promotion out of the way. I do have to thank Hedy for another 5 gifted memberships. Thanks again for that. Wow, so that brings us really close to the total now. Up to 94. Thank you, Hedy. Long-term member and long-term contributor to the channel as well. Solidarity as always. Awesome stuff. Awesome. I am blessed to have such a wonderful audience, I really am. Doc David, Doc, no. No, there's no technical issue, don't worry, Doc. Oh, yeah. Ah, I see what you mean. Oh, is it the don't be the thing again? Come on, that's not happened for ages. I thought that was all resolved. Has it got something... Right, I'm going to change the membership back for a start. Just as a precaution. If you don't know what we're talking about, well, it was over a month or so ago, I was having this issue with people gifting memberships. You know who they've been gifted to because, as you can see, if you scroll up, you can see the 10 gifted membership recipients when Hev made the contribution, but alas, they're missing, so we'll have to look into that. I hope it's, you know, have they got something against me getting up to 100 memberships? Because we've been close a few times, people. And then, of course, we had that aforementioned issue, and then, unfortunately, people haven't renewed the memberships a few weeks later, so the numbers have dropped off again. But I really hope that's not the case. As far as I know, there are no caps or limits or anything like that. It should just randomly select, in Heddy's case, 5 random members. But thank you very much nonetheless, Heddy. Please do keep us posted and see if those gifts bounce back. You should get a refund on whichever means you use to pay for them. Keep us posted, but thanks anyway, brother. I've already subtracted the 5 there, Divinia. So that would have taken us up to 94. Okay, people. Yeah, that's sort of out of my hands, unfortunately. That issue. So I'll leave it there. Thanks once again for joining me. You've been wonderful. I've been your host, Lefty. This has been the Sunday live stream on My Left Eye. Really do hope that you'll join me over at the Vanguard when we do the redirects, when we raid in. But if not, then take care, everybody. My Left Eye will be seeing you soon. That's all from Herbie, and Keith's going to see us out in the Fondue Lounge. Free Palestine. Power to the people.
The world seems more uncertain and volatile now than it has done for some time. The security and defence of our country is paramount, but also we need to make sure that's felt at home, that we have security, economic security at home as well, because I don't think you can have international security if you haven't got security at home.